Yeah.
I'm not saying that we're punctual, but it is to the T 8 o'clock.
They can't hear us.
They can't hear us.
Which means we got to do the live now tweet. And whoever's at the sound booth, which is no one at the moment, can totally bump us up. Everybody.
Wow.
Everybody online can hear us great, but you guys.
We can hear everybody but you, Sammy.
You can only hear me?
I can only not hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me.
That's okay. That's the way it's designed.
That's right. That's on the checklist. Just making
That's
sure
a
that you
feature,
can't
not
hear
a
me.
bug.
Feature, not a bug.
And apparently they can't hear me because I just said that.
Where did Eli go? Oh, there he is. This is that.
And for all of your pizza needs, come see Jeremy Nicola up front here.
The king of pizza.
Oh, you know what? I did the live now tweet and did not even tag it. PHP Tech. Crap. Here we go.
Pizza king of St. Louis.
We're about to. We're gonna tweet this again right live. PHP Tech. I need to add that to my to-do list. There we go.
Did you need Eli? There he is.
Oh,
Hey, Eli, there seems to be some leveling issue.
and there seems to be an error already on GarageBand, which is awesome. This is going great so far. What's that?
Hello.
Hey, can everybody hear us okay?
Here's now.
A little bit better? All right, here we go.
We got the Muppet judges down here.
All right, we're going to take that as a ready to go. All right, here we go.
No idea what's going on.
Here we go.
Hashtag fraud.
Hello and welcome. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Sammy K. Powers, and this is the PHP Roundtable. We are recording live as always, but today we have a live studio audience at PHP Tech 2016. Say hi, everybody. Applause! On the video, you can only see me and partial bin marks. I apologize for that. The computer's kind of bogged down with electronical equipment and wires. And Jeremy Nicola, if you check him out on Twitter, is live streaming this. Apparently, no, he just has his camera up. So let's kick this off by introducing the panel real quick. Let's start off with Joe. Say hi and why you're here.
I'm Joe Ferguson. I don't really know why I'm here. To talk about things, maybe FIG related, maybe user group related.
Awesome.
Ben Marks here, just usually representing the Gento as always. Watch the wine. Oh, Gento has your back. We're I think one of the newest member project on FIG. I think so. We just joined right in time for the fun stuff. So let's throw it over to one of our.
We actually did that for you, Ben.
Hi, Samantha Quiñones. I guess I'm also going to be talking about the FIG since someone brought it up.
Well, somebody did bring it up. Then we also have the amazing.
Hi. Hello. I'm Gary Hockin, and I'm here probably to argue about things.
Excellent. Well, I mean, obviously, it sounds like one of the topics today might be the FIG. Before we get to that, though, I did want to kind of talk about speaking at PHP conferences, because a lot of people are like, hey, I want to start speaking. How do I get into that? Including myself, because I've never actually officially spoken at an official conference other than like open spaces or something like that. PHP-FIG is on the list, and PHP 7.1. I actually forgot to get with you guys and be like, hey, we should talk about 7.1 features. So this might go really well. And we might actually meet. Where'd Ben Ram to go? He's okay. We might need you a little bit later. Also, Pringles is going to make an appearance later with Jeremy Nicola, who does lots of things. And of course, we always have a developer shout out. And we have a special developer shout out this week for somebody who's actually here at PHP Tech. So with that, without any more further ado, speaking at a PHP conference. So just a heads up, if you've never done it before, I found this great resource by Kayla Daniels, who is lovely and amazing. She made this website, helpmeabstract.com, and you can submit your potential abstracts for call for papers. And people, big speakers from all over PHP world will analyze them and give you feedback. And so I did that, got some great feedback on some abstracts that I was working on, and then I submitted them to various CFPs or call for papers for various conferences. By the way, Cal Evans, is Cal Evans here? I don't see Cal. Cal was in here earlier. You're upstairs? Okay. Kyle Evans has this great website, the CFPreport.com, which sends you an email regularly about these CFPs that are open. So if you're interested in speaking and you want to kind of be in the know of like what's open right now, go to the CFPreport.com and sign up, and you'll get I think it's weekly emails.
Yes,
yes.
On Wednesday, every Wednesday.
If you signed up like before they changed that option, yes, you get it on Wednesday, because that's when I get it. But you can actually adjust the day and get it whatever day you want.
I like a Wednesday.
I like Wednesday as well. It's very natural.
Totes. So a couple of the CFPs that I submitted to. So I got a couple here. I want to give a shout out to ZenCon, which is in Las Vegas, Nevada, so you can lose all your money on. Their CFP is open until May 31st. You got some ZenCon people? Yeah, a couple of ZenCon people out there. True North, PHP, anybody wanted that one? It's gonna be the last official one. Grumpy Programmer is running that one. It's gonna be in Ontario. What city is that?
Mississauga?
What is that? How do you say?
Mississauga?
Mississauga. It looks like Mississippi, but differently. There's like lots of ISS.
I'm pretty sure that's near Canadian.
Yeah, I think it is. It's like America's hat area. But that CFP ends June 5th. Kung Fu, the white elephant. They have the white elephant, which is one of the most beautiful PHP elephants. Was that?
Kung Fu Vancouver.
Vancouver. It's in Vancouver, yes. That's also an American hat area. That CFP ends June 6th. And the last open CFP we have right now that I've got on my list is Madison PHP in Madison, Wisconsin, which is a great event. I've been there before, and their CFP ends June 15th. So if you're thinking about submitting to a conference, check out those CFPs. Just Google all of those names. Last one, though, that actually hasn't been open, but will open soon, as I've been told by, I think it was Kevin Bruce, it said PHP World, or was that Sandy? I can't remember who I was talking to earlier, about PHP World's CFP might be opening soon. Yes? Waiting for a nod. Okay, yes, getting a nod.
Somebody in a orange shirt said it was not going to happen, so we ran with it.
Somebody in a orange shirt acknowledged that that was indeed going to happen soon. That's happening in DC, specifically Tyson's Corner, Virginia, which is DC area. In fact, the hotel that PHP World is held at is one of the hotels that I've been to many times for dance events. It's one of the bigger dance events on the East Coast that's held there. So I'll go there with you guys, hopefully this time, if PHP World accepts my CFPs. I was waiting for everybody listening. So we might have to put out a dance floor and dance to that one, because it'll be dance house. So okay, speaking at conferences, you guys have all spoken at conferences before. I don't know if you've been, but yeah. So what does it take to be a conference speaker? How do I get from not conference speaker to conference speaker?
Amazing charisma. Thank you. Oh, right. Sorry, they run out of business.
There's a lot of unrelated activities going on right now. There's capture the flag, security, and then there's board games. And so any random cheering can happen.
That was actually Gary's charisma that calls that.
He has to tone it down.
Yeah, there's other people on this podcast, Gary.
You need to be preferably, I guess, a human being.
That's a good place
the
to start.
ability to somehow communicate with words.
Yes.
Really, I mean, that's what it takes. You have to have some passion for something, and the desire to get up on a stage in front of a group of people and talk about it. It looks a lot scarier from the audience than it is, than it really is.
I think the important thing as well is you don't have to worry about being someone who is outgoing or not. You just have to be somebody who is willing to share information. That's the biggest role that I have seen with a lot of these speakers is they don't feel like they have to contribute. And everybody has something to contribute. You just have to be willing to stand up in front of a bunch of people and contribute.
Yeah, I mean, well, and also a major logical step is actually submitting an abstract. And the nice thing is you don't actually have to have the talk finished. You can just come up with a really good idea and kind of use that as a kind of time box. Get yourself excited about a topic and submit, and then figure it out on the way once you're something. And don't sweat the rejections, because man, we've all been speakers, but man, have we been rejected.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was actually really joking when I said amazing. That's definitely not the prerequisite. As Samantha said, just submit. Everybody's got something to share. Everybody's got something to give. We've all started from somewhere. We've all had bad experiences early on where we needed to practice more. But yeah, user group is the same story. You know, everyone says, oh, submit a user group. I didn't actually do that personally, but that's definitely a preferable route, is to have a go at a user group. User groups will typically accept any proposals, as long as you're happy to show up and give it a go. And that's a great place to dip your toe.
That's a great idea. We actually talked about that at the user group. We had a little user group open space, and we were talking about trying to get speakers to come to user groups and difficulties involved in that. And so I can't remember who mentioned that it was they were encouraging new people to be like, okay, come up with a topic that you can do a lightning talk on for 10 minutes, and then just study it. And by the next time we have a user group, come back to the lightning talk idea, and then we'll just run it.
Shameless plug, if you have anything that's PHP adjacent that you'd like to talk about, Nomad PHP will do lightning talks for 10 minutes. So that is a great way to get into doing speaking, is to do a lightning talk. And we've never rejected a lightning talk submission.
Ooh.
Challenge accepted.
I hope you can see Sandy's face. Nothing is coming out of his mouth, but that face.
That's lovely. How does one?
So if you visit nomadphp.com, there's a link for lightning talks. There's a submission form. Fill that out, and I will get in touch with you. I'm going to organize those talks. We'll figure something out.
Sweet.
Yeah, Nomad PHP, the sort of the world's PHP user group, accessible to everybody. Yeah, the lightning talks are a great place to start. And even if if you can practice even where you work, maybe you have some employees you're excited about, some coworkers you're excited about a topic. Just do a pitch with them in the same meeting rooms that you're in all the time. Just get to feel comfortable. And if you can't record, just go ahead and take a recording of it. It's a little painful to watch later on, but that's one of the best ways to own your speaking skills.
I'm not a right, I forgot you can't see me.
Cool. So speaking about recording your talks, one instance of this that I saw firsthand was Jordan Casper, who lives up in the DC area. He's very big in the JavaScript community. He did a talk from Memphis PHP a few years ago, and I thought it was odd that he recorded his talk. But he was going around the user groups, giving these talks, recording his performance of these talks, and using that to improve. And I always admired that about him, that he was using that as a tool to get better. Because I have never been able to watch myself do a talk. I've always been too scared to see myself in that manner, and that's one thing I wish I could get over, to kind of see myself progress as a speaker.
Yeah, you're still getting over it because you knocked it out today. I went to your legacy.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I can mentor you on growing an ego.
On growing an ego? Yeah, I think we should set that up. php.org, right?
It is though, really. It's really hard to get over that hump of watching yourself on stage and hearing your own voice, and it sounds weird and it looks weird and it's uncomfortable. But if you can persevere and push through it, there is some value there. And I'm kind of a hypocrite there because I really can't stand watching myself on video giving talks. But when I can force myself to do it, I always text them so I didn't notice when I was doing the talk. And it's a good way to approach.
Good call. Well, that's another thing too. I mean, this day and age, we've got with YouTube and like TED Talks and stuff that one of the other ways to compare is you can actually go out there and watch other speakers, especially people who do it regularly, and you will start to pick up on some of the things that they do, how they adjust their inflection, how they move back and forth or not to engage the crowd. Just stay anytime you see a video of Jeremy McCullough, just don't try and do anything that he does. Because he's a master.
He is a master. He knows the rules enough to where he can bend and break them, but he don't want to start off bending and breaking the rules. Right? Is that right, Jeremy?
He's shrugging because he doesn't know what he's doing.
I found Gary's second ego, Nipsey.
Flying by the seat of his pants, I think, is the meme or the miming he was doing there. So speaking of auto-loading and things like that, I'm really good at transitions on this.
Uncomfortable segue,
You know, face for 1,000. We just got out of PHP Jeopardy, by the way, which was fantastic. Run by, of course, the guy who's got all the names. Jeremy McCullough. In your talk today, Joe Ferguson, you were talking about legacy apps, and when you get a legacy app, if it doesn't have, say, for example, like a standard coding style, hey, there's one for you. It's called PHP. You can check it out. on FIG. Check out there's these coding guidelines. Definitely use spaces, not tabs, those kind of things. You also mentioned auto loading, legacy applications and auto loading and things like that. Those are all standards that are presented by this body called PHP-FIG. And we've had an episode on PHP-FIG before, but when we were talking about the FIG, I had a bunch of FIG people on, but not you guys. All of you guys are part of the FIG except for Mr. Gary. So what's your all's role? What projects are you guys doing on FIG?
We tried to get Gary.
Mr. Gary, that's really cute.
So my role in the FIG is I'm one of the secretaries. My job is to kind of herd the FIG cats and officiate votes, not necessarily vote in votes. That's not something we do. We don't vote. We just kind of officiate votes and tally votes, report results. We also interpret bylaws and kind of are the decision makers, but we are there to kind of lend guidance when something comes up that holds a bylaw into question.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, so I'm representative for Magento, which is one of the newest inductees into the FIG body. Got in kind of just in time to catch all of the lovely goings on that are going on. So yeah, we're basically like, you know, we're one of the kittens that the judge got Joe and the other secretary.
I'm one of the other secretaries. Yeah, so Joe said we also do a lot of the kind of the administration and housekeeping, so like maintaining the website and the GitHub account and that kind of stuff as well. So we are like the big cat herding janitors. We clean the cat boxes.
Those are the litter scoopers.
We are the litter scoopers, poop scoopers. Yeah, so that's really my role today. That and telling people to shut up on the mailing list and then locking.
I am good at that.
Yeah, I really enjoy that part. That's fun.
And
I like to bitch and moan without actually doing anything about it.
You fit in handsomely.
Yeah, for a hot minute, Gary was going to be a secretary, and he felt better.
Yeah, I did. I was supposed to be Samantha, but I backed out at the last minute because I had a little dog.
But by the way, every time you say something, somebody wins something in the game, and then cheers. So I feel like
It's purely your charisma.
it's not a coincidence. Somebody else won something in a chess game over there. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I'm not. So PHP Roundtable tries to stay away from quote unquote drama, and I feel like drama in general is kind of overstated on Twitter a lot of times. This isn't about talking about drama, but more about just sort of things that are going on in the FIG, just to get you know. But without getting into more of the specifics, I guess a couple weeks ago there was somebody who wrote a blog saying that there was a project on packages that was getting fraudulent downloads, and they were questioning whether this person was a legit person, the product manager. And that person happened to be part of the FIG, so one of the FIG representing projects. And then there was a discussion brought up in the FIG mailing list about whether or not this person should be reconsidered as a FIG member. And there was some back and forth, and there happened to be someone who chimed in on that mailing list discussion and said, "Oh, I can explain these what looks like fraudulent things," and that ended up being discovered as potentially that same person, the project owner, sock puppeting this fraudulent and fake person, creating this story to kind of cover their tracks. That's kind of like the TLDR version of what's been going on in FIG, and the Twitter response to that has been like, "Oh, it's tons of drama, right?" And maybe there's some drama there, but one other thing, I know Gary's ready to
No, just because I have no clothes in this race,
Yeah,
as you say, let's just make it clear that there's never anything to do with software.
Yes.
It's certainly in my mind. My mind's made up, and I think it happened, but there's never been any proof. That's just my opinion.
Yes.
I can say that because I don't have anything.
And absolutely, literally, if you don't know anything about the situation, just stop with his TLDR, because you literally just don't want to go just down this, hours of text, just trying to kind of follow up on this.
Yes, absolutely. It's all on the mailing list for PHP-FIG, but like what Gary just said, there isn't like hardcore evidence that can be brought to trial and be like, okay, this is all this more circumstantial stuff that people have kind of direct that, okay, maybe this is what the case is. So with all these allegations, I should say, there were three projects that in the midst of all of that stuff that was going down that started to lead the FIG. And I think each one had legitimate reasons. They're like, hey, we're here for standards, and we've all I've been getting these emails about unrelated stuff, and that's kind of what I got from people who were leaving. But then people on Twitter land started blowing up and saying like, oh my gosh, the FIG is crumbling and imploding, yes. I mean, although we do use implode, I'm sure in some projects. I mean, it's one of the standard, not very exact things, but
yeah, we don't feel contaminated ourselves.
Well played, sir.
So a lot of people might label that as FIG drama, and this gets kind of blown up, of course, with the PHP internals mailing list. A lot of potentially benign comments end up on Twitter misquoted, and then end up becoming big dramas on Twitter by themselves without even being thrown on the mailing list. There's plenty of that on the mailing list as well. But I'm curious about each one of your all's thoughts on kind of the of that situation that went down. What are the concerns about the FIG becoming irrelevant or imploding on itself? Are those even legit concerns?
The reports of our implosion have been greatly exaggerated. I think what happened was that big event caused a lot of projects to call into question their involvement and their time commitments. Being involved in FIG is no small time commitment. Being a member project is definitely no small time commitment. So I believe that dealing with all of that, as nasty and gross as it was, really shed some light on some people who just don't have time to participate in FIG and are really doing a disservice by not being able to have time to put towards commenting on the PSRs, commenting on the process of what the FIG does. So I think what you saw there was a cause and effect that were definitely not really related, but some projects resigned because they just didn't have the time to put into it. I would have rather seen some of those projects just replace the membership. That way they're still involved in FIG and FIG in official capacity, like maybe change who was keeping up with all of the FIG business. But even after all of that, there's been some great discussions and very heated discussion about PSR 7 and middlewares, and that is now coming to a vote if it hasn't already. That's going in an ongoing vote. So the PSR 7 stuff is being expanded. There are working groups on async PHP, which are working on bringing the async PHP PSR into an intrusive vote. PSR 12, which is going to be the expansion of PSR 2, the code style guide is being worked on. There is a pending up for discussion PHP-FIG 3 proposal, which will change a lot of how FIG operates and functions as a whole. So there is a lot of stuff going on in FIG, and I'd like to point out that every community has drama in one form or another. Internals has just as much drama, if not more, than FIG does. Any community outside of programming. And I think where that drama stems from is really passionate people that really care about it. Because depending on how you look at the situation that happened with FIG, that's still a passionate person that went to incredible lengths to remain relevant, to be able to input and interact with it. So I think it's easy to confuse that passion with drama. And maybe some of the passion is misguided, maybe it isn't, but I think there's still plenty of awesome things happening with FIG.
Yeah, so I mean, I can tell you that Project 2 doesn't get done as quickly. It doesn't come out when it did without the existence of PSRs, which came about because before. We were able to do things against a standard reputation that allowed us to use the work of others. So we didn't have to write stuff that other people had already written. I mean, we were able to use it straight away. So, I mean, the value of what the FIG puts out is absolutely important. We voted to it's essentially just an abstain vote. Honestly, don't really care. I mean, whatever the matter is, whether something was proved or not, in fact, it wasn't proved, kind of factored into that, but. At the end of the day, I mean, for me, it was just important to just get the thing over with. Let's focus on the work at hand. Getting ready for FIG 3.0, and continue this important mission of the FIG, which is really it should be for the benefit of our community now. there was I forget who wrote it, but I did read a very good, I mean, this was really kind of a touchstone moment in FIG history, which is why I think we saw some people say, maybe we're not actually in force, we're just going to leave. But you know, someone wrote a great article on this moment, and I think one of the things that they kind of pointed out was like, hey, really, we're at an interesting point. I mean, if you leave off this one, you know, potentially sort of rogue or bad actor or whatever, you know, the PSRs have become, you know, maybe more contentious, or the topics they're dealing with are not as easy as some of the earlier PSRs. Like, and not to say that they were easy, because there was plenty of discussion about like PSR2 and things like that. But if you think about it, like it makes sense that FIG was able to. The first few PSRs were maybe so-called low-hanging fruit, right? And so now we're really getting into some stuff. So it's a really important time for us to come together as an organization and move things forward.
Yeah, and I definitely want to say that the work that the FIG has done today has been absolutely amazing. You know, most of the recommendations that have come out, I wholeheartedly agree with the back and the use. I wouldn't actually put cash in a bracket, but we could have a whole other podcast just talking about that, right? So let's not go there. You know, I genuinely, as I say, I got involved and had to back away, because for me, it's just fundamentally broken where it is at the moment. I just feel that there's just way too much bullshit that goes on. Can I say bullshit? Sorry.
This is the explicit episode, so you're welcome to say.
Well, I couldn't actually take bullshit back, so I apologize. There's just too much. There's too much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Every time we talk, somebody does something and again, it's amazing.
It's just, if you've ever tried, like reading every single post that happens on that mailing list, particularly at a point where there's a PSR coming near to a vote, it's like, I think it's impossible to read every single post as one human and to, you know, grok every post. You can scan every post, but I just think, well, why does it need 3 secretaries to moderate that mailing list? Because I just don't think one person can do it. And then, therefore, having one representative for a member project, you're asking somebody to do the impossible. I just don't think one person can vote on a project, on a PSR, and have read every single comment that has been posted on that PSR. I think it's fundamentally impossible. And so you either end up having projects, you know, just reading the meta documentation, which is fine.
Except maybe Larry Garfield. I think this is the one person who I think who does read everything.
Yeah. Yes, he is a superhuman individual who is, you know, kudos to Larry, but I just genuinely believe that there's the low-hanging fruit was quite, you know, and let's be honest, without the auto-loading PSRs, we have no composer, and without composer, we would have not as many people in this room, you know, at conferences. So massively respect the work that's been done, but just think it's fundamentally broken this situation going forward, to be honest.
And 3.0 probably fixes that, right?
Well, I mean, it's a start. I mean, the thing is, obviously, we have issues. I wanted to serve as a secretary of the FIG because it has issues, not because it's perfect. I think that the 3.0 proposal, as it is now and as it's going to evolve as it gets closer and closer to, hopefully, to a vote, goes a long way to start addressing those. There are a lot of things that we can do about the unmanageability of the FIG process now by applying process, by maybe finding better ways of communicating official FIG business as opposed to sort of like the meta discussions that are going around it. I don't know what the answers to those questions really are, but I think that 3.0 kind of gives us a good framework to start building out those processes. So I'm really excited about where the FIG is hopefully going, you know, this summer and into next year. I feel like we often get sidetracked, like things with this, you know, with what happened with the Pixie project. And obviously, I don't have strong feelings either way about whether or not that vote should have passed or not. My feeling was, and I think that the other secretaries agreed, is that this was brought to our attention, and then it was released into as a public blog. We had multiple members of the FIG that were very concerned about that issue, and we wanted to get it in front of the membership to vote on it. Not because of any desire for the vote to go one way or the other, but just so that we could close the book on this incident. Whether or not the allegations were true, it's a black mark on the entire organization. And I felt the faster we dealt with it and got to a resolution that the membership voted for, the faster we could kind of move on and get back to the important stuff that we are working on. I mean, we are working on a lot of stuff. We have a new member that just joined. We just opened up PSR 14, which is the event manager PSR. There's an open vote right now for middleware PSR, so to sort of standardize middleware interfaces. That's kind of like an addendum to PSR 7. That vote closes on Tuesday, so if you're a voting member and you haven't voted yet, please make sure you get your vote in before it closes.
How many percent voted on that?
So this is actually one of the reasons I was really happy for us to join. I actually sent a note into our, we have like a couple hundred developers and in our organization, and I sent it to our lead architect for the Gen 2 project, a nice Ukrainian guy named Anton Krill. And one of like 2 or 3 funny Ukrainians on the planet. You really should just follow him on Twitter. He's a great guy. But also truly brilliant. So I figure we have this huge team of people that we can kind of bring. I can sort of say, hey, you guys want to chime in on this? I'm actually waiting for a little feedback, but the period is quickly quickly expiring. So I have a feeling we are going to vote with it because it actually fits right in with commerce rarely happens in a silo.
Well, this is an entrance vote.
I want this thing to go forward.
No, I understand, but this is an entrance vote. This is just to assign a PSR number, essentially.
Right.
This is not about final adoption.
Formal discussions. Should FIG even consider this? What it is, what an entrance vote is.
Absolutely, and I'm feeling that. Well, and the nice thing is also we got like Anthony Ferrara chiming in on his opinion on things, and I think we want us to see it going forward.
There's an Anthony Ferrara fan in the audience. Who was that?
Oh, yeah. Katie. Katie loves Anthony Ferrara. Absolutely.
Sorry, why do I remember? Beautiful hair was that. Was that Cody? Did you say he has beautiful hair? Yes, Cody thinks he has beautiful hair.
Sorry, guys, it's like a flowing river of chocolate.
Okay, that escalated quickly. I just wanted to clear up that, like, I'm totally not anti-FIG, and as I say, I really am keen to get more standardizations. I don't even think that FIG 3.0 is addressing the point that everybody can comment on everything.
So what's your specific issues with PSR? I'm sorry, PHP-FIG 3.0?
I haven't really been involved, but as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't address the signal to noise ratio. Am I right? Everybody still gets to email on everything, right?
Yes. It does not. It doesn't really do anything to the signal to noise ratio. However, it does take into account a better process of how decisions are made and how things come about in the thing.
It's not fair that Samantha and I who are arguing massively have to share a microphone.
Yeah.
That's fine. But
how about this? Me and Samantha will share a microphone.
So, but I can still send an email to the Google group, and X hundred people will still have to spend 25, 30 seconds reading whatever nonsense I choose to write on a PSR thread, which is fundamentally my huge concern. Is that on the one hand, I completely understand that everybody should have a say, and everybody's opinion is equal, but realistically, on a cache PSR, Doctrine's opinion should be all humans are equal, but some humans are more equal than others, right? And on the PSR, on the caching PSR, Doctrine, who are one of the biggest consumers of that, should have been one of the biggest consumers of that PSR. Their opinions seem to have been drowned out in the nonsense, the tidal river bullshit that was posted on that thread.
Things like that specifically are what the 3.0 proposal is trying to address. Right?
I'm dancing and cheering on stage.
Yeah, well, I mean, the TLDR, the heart of FIG 3.0 is the kind of the formalization of these working groups. And these working groups will gather together subject matter experts around a particular proposal to generate a PSR and to sort of, first of all, segregate that technical discussion among people who are really interested in having it. Maybe not the entire, FIG mailing list, subscriber list. And let them work together to create a standard that they feel is technically valid, and then present that finished product to FIG to be evaluated for fitness to be published as a PSR, whether or not it should be adopted, to make sure that it meets the standards that the PSR sets. So I think that 3.0 definitely provides a framework to fix that problem to an extent.
But at the point of before vote, presumably it'll go to the main mailing list where every man and his or woman and his dog will be able to post whatever nonsense they want.
Well, the working group will finalize the PSR, and then it will go to the court. What is this? Under this proposal, go to the core committee, and the core committee would vote on it after analyzing it for its fitness as a PSR standard, not on the technical merit.
So it wouldn't go to the main group at any point for comment?
I don't believe under FIG 3.0 that individual PSRs go to the general voting populace. It's voted by the core committee.
The general populace would, of course, give input on that.
Yeah.
No, it's much more, not really siloed, but it's much more that a group goes off, works on something, and it comes back to FIG with something, and then feedback can be given if it's warranted. And I think what Gary's getting at is the fact that there can be so much instant feedback, it can be overwhelming. And the signal to noise ratio is what I think Gary's main problem is. And there's some rule that we keep having to keep refreshing, which is an old gentleman's agreement about you only respond to a thread once a day. And in the heat of battle or argument, or however you want to phrase it, that goes right out the window. And I think one thing that I personally would like to see is maybe more heavy-handed enforcement of this.
Well, to use your term, I'm sorry to the my esteemed colleague to my left, but a gentleman's agreement only works if people are willing to be gentlemen.
I agree with you, and that's why I feel like a more heavy-handed version, whether that's secretaries moderating the list, whether that's member projects moderating themselves, what have you. Something should be done to enforce this, give this some teeth, and less gentleman's agreement, more behavioral pattern.
Also, corporal punishment. Bring back corporal punishment.
Which is a particularly hard thing to do over the internet, to be honest, man.
We all, I think we're all old enough to have slapped people with trouts in IRC.
I'm pretty sure the Magento too supports corporal punishment out of the box.
It's a sick burn. It's a sick burn.
So basically what you just said, Joe, is that I might as well just drop this mic on the stage and walk off, because you pretty much solved all my problems. No,
Well, that's what I'm here for. Is to solve all your
sorry,
problems.
you solved one of my problems, but we haven't got enough time to do all my problems.
I took a bunch of yo-yos from you earlier. And there's at least 2 of your problems I've solved today.
And you're still you when you walk off the stage, so.
Thank you.
We're not miracle workers.
I'm curious if you guys are aware or feel like that. So one of the concepts that I've been kind of thinking about with all this stuff that's been going on FIG and anything else is this idea that like there's just people involved, and I feel like that's just like anytime you get any kind of group together, there's always going to be politics. There's always going to be drama. There's always going to be something. Somebody's going to screw something up. We're all kind of like got this little nature that we want to just screw things up because that's what we like to do, right?
Just to clear this up as well, I'm not saying anything on this podcast I haven't said in person to Larry, to Samantha, to Joe. This isn't like me just coming out and bitching about stuff. I've spoken privately to all people concerned before.
We know you bitch constantly.
I've made a career on it, so why should I stop?
It's easy to forget that there are humans behind the keyboard. And that's something, especially on a mailing list and a heated discussion, is very easy to forget and is often lost in translation. So.
I also feel like there can be, probably once we just get this sort of major thing of 3.0 in place, I think there are some, maybe some very simple minor process things that can happen, and maybe even just some new, maybe adjusting the medium being used, who knows, where we can make it easier, not just for us FIG members, but also FIG followers, to kind of wade through and find really sort of, where's the meat of the conversation versus all of the garbage.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's something we need to start thinking about how we want to address communication in the mix. All that FIG 3.0 does is provide a working framework, and right now the FIG is a direct democracy. Each of the member projects just votes directly on everything, and FIG 3.0 presents more of a representative democracy, where the voting members elect a committee to represent their interests. That's really all the 3.0 is. I think it gives us a good starting point to build a better FIG.
Speaking on that, one of the member projects that left the FIG during all this stuff, and by the way, just a brief aside on that, of the 3 that left, if there were maybe 5 projects, was it 4? It was 4 that left. Okay, 4 or 5 left. Yeah, so say there was like 6 total projects represented in the FIG. If 4 or 5 had left, then that would definitely be the FIG you're voting. But considering there's 42, I don't think that really constitute as implosion, but that was just my own little thing that I observed. But one of those projects, they somebody from a member from that project posted a GitHub repo of kind of like, let's make this a community standard thing. So it's sort of like this 15 standard thing failed, so let's make standard number 16. And there's a KCD comment about this, of course, and everybody kind of knows about that. But I'm curious about what your all's thoughts are on. Is the FIG so inherently broken that we need to come up with another system to replace it? Or
And literally at a meta level, what you're going to end up with is a bunch of people realizing, oh shit, we actually do have to have bylaws and structure in order to get anything done. I mean, it's just, you will never materialize. I'm sorry, programmers are opinionated, and you will never materialize standards without some kind of process and some mutual, some framework, cultural niche of mutual respect.
Creating standards is hard. It's not just hard in our language, it's hard in every language community. It's hard for the internet in general. I mean, look at the process around internet RFCs and how much conversation happens around those. It's just hard work.
And the original discussion of FIG 3.0 was actually based on a lot of the internet RFC processes and how that process works and how that feedback is given. Because some of these people have figured these things out before, as it turns out. We're not the first organization to try to do this. So we should look and learn from these other organizations to try to do something not necessarily better than what they did, but learn from their mistakes.
If only they looked like they had created a standards creation standard and standardized it.
There's a standard way to create a standard body that we create.
We need a standards factory.
I'm just not convinced in PHP land that we need a body whose job it is to create standards. I think I would be more inclined to create a body that ratifies existing standards. So my example is container and drop. Container and drop is now a standard, right? So I don't know. I think Pimple implemented, I know Zen Service Manager implemented, tons of containers out there are now using this standard, which hasn't come out of the FIG. It's come out of a little small self-organizing group who said, you know what, we want to go away and we want to create the standard. So for me, more things like that, which are then voted on, they come out, they emerge, they're adopted, and then the FIG could say, look, we'd like to ratify this as a standard, and could we do that? And then vote on ratifying standards that have emerged.
I think you're going to see that with async PHP, because that's exactly what the async PHP group has done. They said, look, we're not ready to bring a async draft into an entrance vote yet, so we're going to go off, figure out as much as we can, and then we're going to bring FIG something in. Recently, the secretaries have been kind of pushing them to go ahead and pull it into an entrance vote because they've done a ton of work. And we don't want them to get so far down the road that when they come in for entrance vote, that the FIG existing members are like, well, this is so far outside of what we want, and then it's pushed off.
But this is where I think the FIG is overstepping its boundaries. That's my whole problem. I think that people should be encouraged to just go away and self-form groups and try shit and then see if it works. And if it does work, great, you can ratify it as a standard.
Yeah, I get that, and I see where you're coming from, and I guess my response to that is, at this rate, async PHP will be one of the first to go through PHP-FIG 3, whereas they already have their working group, so they will already be a step ahead of any other BSR.
And I love that, and I'm not saying that the FIG shouldn't, for example, say, oh, we really need to have a standard around this, and we're encouraging people to form groups and to talk about this stuff. I totally think that's fine. But I don't think that any body that's ratifying standards should be involved in the creation of those standards.
I mean, I think we're going to end up seeing a mixture of sort of those both. If you look at the early PSRs, there was no de facto standard. And in cases like that, I think it's really healthy for the community to come together and develop a standard together. In other situations, where maybe you have like something like container interop, where you have a de facto standard, well, maybe then the FIG can ratify that and adopt it.
It wasn't strictly true because there were slight name. The standard, the interface was there, but the naming was slightly different. So everybody just standardized on get and has, you know. And some people said exists instead of has, and they just kind of go, oh, it's the same thing. We just need to agree on a name, that group. So yeah, I get you. And of course, the code style standards, they were, lots of code was analyzed. Nobody just went, oh, we should just have this. People went away and said, oh, this is what I can see in the wild in all these projects. This seems to be a reasonable compromise amongst all of these huge projects that everybody can get on with. But I just generally believe there's a little bit of compromise in the FIG if they're creating standards and voting on them. It just...
I think there are people out there who are self-organized and they've done the work. There's no reason that we can't, as an organization, just sort of say like, oh, hey, they've got this figured out, or especially if they've done it and it's already getting traction. There's no reason that we can't just say, okay, well, hey, you know, in the context of us kind of doing standard recommendations, like, here, we'll just go ahead and bring this in Toto, and it's done. I mean, and maybe that'll take a little bit of a social engineering so that people aren't like, well, you know, wait, I didn't have anything to say about this, and I'm used to having input. You know, I'm used to going through this process as part of FIG, but we can just say, hey, the work was done. It's good work, and we can vote on it. Just essentially acknowledge what it is, which is, you know,
So if you look at the way like bodies like W3C operate, I mean, they work in that way. Like anybody can really form a working group. Anyone in FIG 3.0 would be more than welcome to just form a working group, and then you come to the FIG at some point and say we're ready to standardize on this, to propose it as a standard recommendation for the wider community, and then you have a separation. You have a working group that developed and voted on this PSR, and then you have the FIG core committee, which looks at it from the perspective of, does adopting this as a PSR benefit the community? Does it meet our standards, whatever we voted on as standards for PSRs? And then they take that vote on whether or not to adopt it. So I mean, I think that is the direction that we're moving in.
I'm just worried that there's some thoughts that PSRs need to be perfect, that standards need to be the best thing they can be, like technically. Oh, it needs to have, you know, an interface with 19 methods, whereas I think the best standards are the ones that are widely adopted. I don't think they're technically the best thing in the world. Standards need to be adopted, and if they're not adopted, they're useless. And I firmly believe the cache will flounder and die soon. And that's because it's a bad standard.
If it does, that's totally fine, because there is a process in place to amend PSRs. Somebody can come back and say, look, we tried, we failed miserably, or we failed mediocre, whatever. And they can then adjust that PSR. We have the same thing with Hockin. So yeah, there's a precedent set for FIG to say, hey, we might screw up something, we didn't do something right, let's fix
it. Because that's what people think good standards are, whereas I feel that good standards are the ones that are adopted, regardless of, I mean, I'm not saying they can be technically terrible, don't get me wrong, you know, there's obviously a line, but average technical solutions that are widely adopted are amazing standards.
I would agree with that, yeah, I can see that.
Then why am I here?
Because you're wearing the competitor's it's not PHP Roundtable t-shirt, but you're wearing the PHP Town Hall t-shirt.
Are there PHP Roundtable t-shirts?
There are not, unfortunately.
They're not. So he couldn't have been wearing one.
I know.
I got this to be the best ever guest on PHP Town Hall.
You're not supposed to mention other podcasts on
Voices of the Elephant. Any more?
Page talk.
Oh, loosely coupled. No kicks.
One of my favorites is Adam Adams. Full Stack Developer. That's the lovely one.
Full Stack Radio.
Full Stack Radio. Sorry. Yeah.
Do you even podcast?
Do you even podcast, bro? Actually, there was somebody from the audience. And by the way, if you're just listening on in your car, whatever, you can't tell. There's probably 5 people actually paying attention, and the rest, yeah,
6 at least.
at least 6.
Leave your hands down if you're paying attention.
And then even if they're
I see
coding, they're
Dave
like, yeah,
Stockton over there waving.
but somebody from the audience actually brought up a question, and I think that person has since left because they were bored out of their mind. Yeah, did anybody who brought up this question? They
left.
I believe they left.
Okay, do you know who it was?
I do not.
Okay, well, the question is regarding FIG, is there a concept/topic that is too broad for FIG to address?
Of course.
Okay, moving on. We got PHP 7.1.
I'm glad I had no input at all on that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I mean, of course, like we could, you know, Fig can say, okay, here's how an e-commerce application should be built in PHP. Completely off the rails, no way. I mean, am I wrong? I'm not wrong, right? Maybe I'm being a jerk up here, but like that would be ridiculous.
If you're floating an idea, please don't.
No, I'm floating. I will burn Google's servers down so that we don't have to see any comments. BRB contacting open cards. That's it. I said BRB. I'll be right back. I'm going to contact open card. Yeah. You have fun with that. Which I think would be that standard, of course. So yeah, I think there definitely, obviously, there's things to do. I think what maybe the person who asked that question was thinking would have been, you know, what is that tipping point maybe? And I'm not really sure what that tipping point is. Maybe that tipping point is something that goes beyond the scope of a framework. Maybe something that goes beyond the scope of a package. Because traditionally, our member packages, our member projects have been frameworks were the original idea, but we've also expanded it to libraries and packages. And with Fig 3.0, we kind of standardized a little bit better, and it's not such a gray area. But I think the standards that the Fig should be responsible for is what is shared among the projects, the PHP community, not just frameworks, not just libraries, not just one-off packages.
Excellent. That's a great segue into PHP 7.1. Actually, we need to start wrapping it up a little bit. It is getting kind of late. You have something going on after this.
Yeah, I do. I have sent my minions to collect my things, and you're okay.
Okay, excellent.
I do have some time.
Okay, excellent. Well, all right, we'll start wrapping this up.
Well, let's be honest, you're going to a rival podcast. Let's not.
I am going to go record a rival podcast and drink some beer.
Harsh, man.
I'm not offended.
I invited you.
I know. Thanks for the invite. Let's wrap this up with, by the way, Pringles were lying. Unfortunately, Nicola just handed me a text and said that he's going to go play practice to board list to our podcast. He didn't add that part, but I'm
We should eat all those Pringles because they're right there.
They are right in front of us. I think he did say eat some if you want to, but
I think you meant eat all of them.
I think we're going to do that too.
We're going to take those to the next podcast.
That's right. The fun stuff goes to the next podcast. 7.1, did any of you look at the recently denied RFCL implementing attributes for 7.1?
No.
No.
I did actually.
I did. Are you talking about the function attributes?
Yeah, function slash method attributes where it uses hack syntax where you use the angle bracket.
And that is the one that just recently failed visually, correct?
It was declined.
It was typable attributes, or would you like me to ramble on from a position of ignorance?
Wait, you haven't been doing that so far? Well, I mean, well demonstrated already. Damn you, Figs. Damn you. So I don't have, earlier this week, as I was preparing to travel to PHP Tech, I actually went through all the pending RFCs and cast my vote. I remember that one being overly negative, and I don't remember specifics, but I remember reading it and saying that's really weird, that doesn't make sense based on what I've seen elsewhere in PHP and elsewhere in the recent 7 RFCs. I put that voted against it. Based on just, it looked so odd and out of place.
Yeah, I think there was something peculiar about the syntax, and then there was also a decision on whether like it should need something in the AST layer, like internally, versus something in user land. And it was like, what does the AST layer give the user land people? And so I feel like there's a lot of disagreement there in implementation. And Cal Evans just walked in, and welcome, bringing a crew of
PHP people. Small child.
Welcome. What's that? Oh, they're making funny faces.
Don't worry, that's for Gary.
Well, so since we didn't actually have a further discussion on the attributes, did Ben Ramsey already leave?
Yes, he was one of my minions, I'm sorry.
Well, because I was wanting to ask him about some things about UUID, because he's the UUID library, and
Well, you
that's
should
okay.
refer people to the amazing Nomad PHP lightning talk he just recorded about his UUID package.
Well, that's something special.
Yes, it is, and it's coming soon to a YouTube channel near you.
Nice. Well, that'd be great. Well then, since we don't have Pringles, the Pringles were a lie. It's kind of like cake in that Portal game. Real quick, we got
Pringles are literally here. Literally, Pringles are here. Tanky buffalo wings.
Show notes repo. If you would like to contribute show notes to PHP Roundtable, it's open source at github.com/PHP-Roundtable/show-notes. And I'd like to thank Chris Shaw, who's been tearing it up with show notes. Amazing. Contributed number 44 for asynchronous PHP. And also Andy Huggins contributed Miso, which is the Laracon US special, which was the one that had all the audio trouble. So thank you, Andrew and Chris. You guys are amazing for contributing to the show notes. And if you are listening and you want to just like take notes while you're listening to this and just soak up the knowledge and just contribute it back to the world, then check out the show notes repo. Send the PR. I'll mark it in. And then finally, we'd like to wrap up every developer, every episode with a developer shout out. And this particular episode, of course, is sponsored by none other than Laracasts, which is the de facto learning source for anything lyrical related, but even like just testing and.
They have amazing PHP stuff.
They do. This is from a.
Ever the show.
Well, I believe Jeffrey had to record that series because of too many complaints about the Welshman that was recording other series for JetBrains. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes, okay, confirmed, thank you.
Jeffrey does a fantastic job of recording these screencasts and really showing you from step one how to do things in Laravel, but also in, like you said, IDEs and Vim.
It's fine. If you want to be 1992, you carry on.
And some great JavaScript resources. Been doing a lot of Vue.js recently. Really great resources.
Yeah, I mean, Laracast is an inspiration, I think, for even other programming communities to have good educational material out there.
I was really excited to see that the Rails community has jumped on this bandwagon with Railscast. They really took that from Jeffrey Way and ran with it. I was really proud to see that.
And saying I had 3 accounts.
Nice. So obviously he's making millions because he sponsors the PHP Roundtable with $1 million every month, and I just give $100 of that back. Just kidding, it's $100. I don't actually take any of it, but we give it all back to the community because that's what the community is awesome. I've learned so much from the amazing community here that it's so cool to be able to give some of that back. So the developer shout out for this episode goes out to drum roll. Somebody actually here might not even know they're in the room.
Are they even paying attention?
I don't know. There's like 3 people paying attention. Yeah, we got one good thing. The official dev shout out goes to Kathy Evans.
Kathy Evans.
Kathy Evans.
Yeah. Because Cal would be useless without.
True story.
So Kathy is right here. She is being recognized in the developer shout out and will receive a $50 Amazon gift card from Laracast for your contributions to the community. Thank you so much, Kathy. Whatever your name is, Gary Hockin.
Hi, I'm Gary.
Why did we nominate Kathy as the developer shout out?
Because she does so much. Kyle gets all the politics as the front man, and Kathy's the one running behind making it all happen. And I think she deserves that. And once again, I guess she is. So it's all good.
I think Gary slipped him a 20 before this. He slipped him something, that's for sure.
So thank you, Kathy, for all that you do. I'll make sure to get your mailing address and send you the gift card and everything, and the thank you note and all that stuff. And a sticker from me. And finally, since it's definitely about that time, almost exactly that time, let's wrap it up with some shameless plugs. We'll start with Joe. You got anything you want to promote?
Yes, you should check out nomadphp.com, which is the user group for the community. Do not have local user groups.
Does Kathy have any hand in that?
Yes, Kathy has a lot to do with Nomad PHP. She edits all the videos, she schedules all the events, she handles all the subscriptions. If you ever get an email that is regarding Nomad PHP, there is a 100% chance it came from Kathy.
And we'll segue into Nomad Mage. So this is the Magento-focused sort of a Nomad imprint. So coming to you soon, and then in general, of course, Magento, we're always out there looking for your feedback. So you can find me ben@magenta.com. And thanks for having me on here. Excited.
Thank you, sir.
I feel like I'm on this podcast enough. Say, as always, please contact your local chapter of Girls Club. Summer immersion programs are opening up the end of this month in a lot of cities. And, they can use your help, either your time or your money, whatever you got to give. Please help. There's some really motivated young people who are trying to get into this industry and they need your help.
And I'd like to pimp something that I launched yesterday, which is called Sustain.community. And it's a brand new venture which is designed to help people who can't afford or can't get to conferences or other training events. It's designed to help fund those people to get to these events. We're all lucky enough to be in this room and be able to go forward and to be able to spend the time to come here. So I'll be raffling off my entire elephant collection soon. So follow Sustain.community. All of the profits will go to the Sustain Foundation, which is designed to pay people who can't make it to these events to get them to these events.
Sorry, and we would be remiss to not mention Funkatron and Figler. I was going to call that Funkatron.
Probably answer that.
Open sourcing mental illness, OSMI help on Twitter. So there, he's looking for funding for speakers activities. Absolutely got my respect.
We just kicked off a fundraising campaign today, and it's really, I've seen so far a really great response. I know Ed is really excited. I'm really excited. Gary and I have actually been helping behind the scenes with the OSMI stuff a little bit here and there. So it's become something very near and dear to my heart, as well as other things.
Excellent. All right, so if you've been not listening, listen for just 1 second. If you're playing a game, pause for just 1 second. I need your attention because I need you all to yell at the top of your lungs on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. That's everyone who wasn't paying attention this entire time. Thank you so much for joining the PHP Roundtable, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Good night, Internet.